Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So yeah, before I get deeper into this video, I want to go ahead and give shots out to female boxing fan 1. She actually requested for me to do this breakdown on Demetrius Andrade versus Martirosyan. First off, I just want to say, if you're not subscribed to female boxing fan 1, go ahead and check her out. She is a very knowledgeable boxing fan. She knows what she's talking about. She knows 10 times more than a lot of the dumbasses that send messages on YouTube all damn day. She's also called some great predictions. The one that comes to my mind mainly is the prediction she did when she predicted that Austin Trout would beat Miguel Cotto. She did a great job breaking it down, and she was right. So yeah, go ahead and check her channel out. Go ahead and subscribe. Very good channel. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into it. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I have an original channel, Dante562. That channel is still active. If you guys haven't checked those videos out, feel free to check them out. The reason why I bring that up is because on that channel, I did a 5-part series of 5 fighters who I believe had the natural talent and skill set to become future top 10, top 5, pound for pound, best fighters in the world. Now, at the time I picked these 5 fighters to possibly be future pound for pound champions, understand at the time they hadn't did anything. They were still taking baby steps in the professional rankings. So far, I believe 2 fighters so far that I've already picked have already cracked the top 10 or the top 5. One is Guillermo Rigo. Up until this day, Rigo is in everybody's top 10 pound for pound, in the majority of people's top 3 or top 5. Also, another fighter that I predicted would crack the top 10 or top 5 is Adrian Broner. Now, I am aware there's a lot of hate when it comes to Adrian Broner, and there's some people who still don't have him in their top 10, which I have no problem with. But like I said, just keep in mind, Adrian Broner, he did beat a lineal champion at the lightweight division. He beat the champion. It is very equivalent to Floyd Mayweather beating Diego Corrales when he was undefeated. In fact, that's what Larry Merchant compared it to. And we know that Larry Merchant is not a big fan of fighters that look and fight like Floyd Mayweather. So anyway, with that top 5, there's a couple more people on that top 5 that they're still in the process of making that transition from prospect to contender. Everybody except for Gamboa, of course. Gamboa, to me right now is a sad story. He's having a lot of managerial problems and promotion problems, and he's just really wasting a lot of time when it comes to his career. Hopefully he gets on track and he can start fighting consistently like Floyd Mayweather is trying to do right now. If you guys want to go back and check those videos out, you can. I did have to remove 2 of the guys off that list because of copyright reasons, because I put a lot of work into those videos with production and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so once again, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because in that pound for pound list, at the end, after I did the whole list, I realized I had forgot about another fighter, and that fighter was Demetrius Andrade. So I believe I came back and did another video, and I added him to the list. I didn't put him in any order in particular, but I just said he's another fighter who has that potential to become top 10 pound for pound best fighter in the world. Okay, so let's get into the breakdown of this excellent matchup. Andrade versus Martirosyan. First off, when you look at both of these fighters' resumes, from an amateur to a pro, their resumes are very, very impressive. This is a serious match. This is a serious step up for both fighters. It's mainly a step up for Andrade because he hasn't fought a competition on this level yet. But let's go ahead and let's just start with Martirosyan. For those of you guys who don't know, Martirosyan, he actually made the Olympic team. I believe it was in 2004. Martirosyan, like I said, if you're good enough to make the Olympic team, that means at one point he was the best boxer in his division in America at one point. Okay, he also he beat fighters like Andre Berto, Tim Bradley, and Austin Trout as an amateur. As a pro, he beat a highly touted, undefeated Joe Green, who was coming up in the rankings and was looking really good. And Vanes Martirosyan, he took advantage of Joe Green's short height, and he outboxed the hell out of him. He gave him a serious boxing lesson and beat him very easy. Surprised a lot of people. Okay, now when it comes to Vanes Martirosyan, he's a very good boxer. He's pretty tall for his weight class. He has decent speed. He has respectable power. He throws good combinations. Now, the one thing that I would question when it comes to Vanes Martirosyan is how great is he when it comes to one of the main things that you need, and that is adversity. How do you deal with adversity? And I'll tell you right now, the flaws so far are the two fights that Vanes Martirosyan had with Kassim Ouma and with the most recent Erislandy Lara. As far as I'm concerned, in both of those fights, he showed a lot of flaws. In the Kassim Ouma fight, he could not get away from the left hand. He kept getting caught with it over and over and over again. Eventually getting caught with them same shots over and over again by Kassim Ouma, it led to Vanes Martirosyan get knocked down for the first time. I haven't seen the fight in a while, but I believe that Vanes got knocked down twice. I know he got knocked down for sure once, but he was buzzed a couple times, and he was just frustrated. He really couldn't deal with the slickness and the southpaw style that Kassim Ouma had. Now, you have to understand this as well. Kassim Ouma, who had Martirosyan's face all busted up, like I said, had him hurt on multiple occasions. Kassim Ouma is only 5'8", all right? And Martirosyan is 6 foot tall. So that means Martirosyan, he couldn't even take advantage of his height advantage to outbox the shorter, a little bit past his prime, Kassim Ouma, who kept catching him with the same left hand over and over. Now, another fighter that kept catching Martirosyan with the same left hand over and over was Erislandy Lara. As far as I'm concerned, I just told you a second ago, I thought Lara, he won that fight. I thought as the fight went on, Lara was able to do something that Martirosyan couldn't do, and that was adjust. Lara, he started off a little slow, and he was trying to figure out what Vanes Martirosyan was all about. But I think around probably the 4th, 5th round, or maybe even earlier than that, Lara, he started to adjust, and he started to outbox Martirosyan, pretty convincingly. So one of the big questions is, what do these two previous opponents, Kassim Ouma and Erislandy Lara, have in common with Demetrius Andrade? You give up? They're all southpaws. That's right. Demetrius Andrade, he is another southpaw. But instead of being a southpaw who's 5'8" and a little bit past his prime, Demetrius Andrade, he's a southpaw who's 6'1". He's an inch taller than Vanes Martirosyan, and he has those special effects type skills that a Floyd Mayweather has. Not saying he's on the level of a Floyd Mayweather, but he has those type of skills. Really, the only difference is Andrade, he has way longer arms than a Floyd Mayweather. He's way taller, real lanky and tall. Knows how to use his height and his reach. And he's not that much of a Philly shell type defensive fighter, but the styles are very similar. So anyway, let me give you guys a quick little bio on Demetrius Andrade. He had a great amateur career. He went to the Olympics. In the Olympics, he beat two highly touted Russian fighters, but then he ended up falling short to a Korean fighter, and I believe he got the bronze medal, if I'm not mistaken. Another thing a lot of people don't know is Demetrius Andrade, he beat Keith Thurman in the Olympic trials. He beat him 27-13. It was fairly an easy win for Demetrius Andrade. I thought Demetrius Andrade's best professional win was over Grady Brewer. Grady Brewer, he has a reputation of giving almost everyone he faces a hard time, or at least making them look bad. He was the one that he upset a lot of fighters. He upset the undefeated Fernando Guerrero at the time, who they were praising as, one of the future stars of the sport. I remember thinking before that fight that Brewer was going to make Andrade look really, really bad. But it didn't happen that way. Actually, Andre, he went in there and he made easy work of Grady Brewer. It wasn't even competitive. He was playing with Grady Brewer like Grady Brewer was just like a dumb fighter. And Grady Brewer is not a dumb fighter. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of this matchup. Like I said, very, very, very competitive matchup this is. But I'm going to go ahead and get to the chase. I believe that if Vanes Martirosyan had problems with shorter, older southpaws, slower southpaws that wasn't as slick, wasn't as fresh, didn't have the amateur pedigree that a Demetrius Andrade does, I believe that Andrade is going to outbox the shit out of Vanes Martirosyan. I do believe the first couple rounds are going to be competitive. I think after the first 3-4 rounds, Vanes is going to start getting a little bit frustrated, and he's going to start getting picked apart. That's pretty much what happened in the Erislandy Lara matchup. I mean, it wasn't a completely one-sided fight. I'm not saying that. But in that fight, Lara, he kind of relies mainly on just landing his left hand. I think Demetrius Andrade, he's the full package. I mean, don't get me wrong. He wants to land the left hand as well. But, you know, he's more of a well-rounded fighter. You're going to see the right hooks. You're going to see all the different weapons when it comes to Demetrius. I wouldn't be too surprised if Andre catches and knocks down Vanes with a good left hand or even a surprise right hook. Like I said, I really see Vanes kind of freezing up a little bit as this fight progresses and goes into the deeper rounds, especially the championship rounds. I don't think Vanes has that tenacious personality to deal with someone like Demetrius Andrade for 12 rounds. Now, let me tell you what Demetrius Andrade would probably, let me tell you what Vanes Martirosyan would probably have to do to be successful in this fight. I think Martirosyan would have to get very, very aggressive. He would have to really try to get in the inside and go to Andrade's body. Now, if it's one thing I could criticize Andrade about is when he was fighting against, I think it was Freddie Hernandez, the fight where he just went the distance, there was just a couple times when Demetrius just looked a little uncomfortable. It wasn't a lot, but it was a couple times we didn't look too, comfortable in the inside. So I believe that would be, what's his name, Vanes Martirosyan's best chance in this fight. But one thing I noticed is when Vanes was fighting against Erislandy Lara, he never went to the body. Matter of fact, they were criticizing him as he was fighting because he was doing too much head hunting. So that might not be his style to really get in the inside, go to the body, and try to make it an inside war or an inside fight. But nevertheless, overall, Demetrius Andrade, he did fight in the inside, and there were times where he looked good in the inside. It was just a couple times. It could be a learning lesson, a learning process, or whatever the case may be. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna see. So, like I said, if Demetrius Andrade wins this fight, which I'm predicting that he does, this puts him in the top 5. This puts him in the top 5, and I hope that he stays at 154 because the 154-pound division is looking really, really hot right now. So, like I said, Demetrius Andrade, this is his coming out party if he wins this fight. Like I told you guys before, I see him pretty much outboxing Vanes. I see him knocking Vanes down. He may even get the knockout. But I really see a knockdown or a staggered Vanes Martirosyan in this fight. Now, like I always tell you guys, I ain't no prophet, but I'm hoping that Demetrius makes me look like one because I've been on somewhat of a streak when it comes to these predictions. I know eventually I'm going to get one wrong, but so far I've been on a good streak. So yeah, guys, that's the way I see this fight playing out. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right now. I'm on to the next one, y'all.